I'm gonna be honest, I'm tired. Yeah, that's a way to start the video. Hi, I'm your local internet friend, aka Toki, and for the month of November, this is gonna be the update video. The year is almost over. I still have to review how this year has gone, specifically through the videos that I've made this year. I have a lot to review, actually, now that I think about it. Um, I'm just gonna get started. Usually I would have something to go ahead and complain about or to rant about, but like that'll happen later on in the video anyway. So this month I was supposed to have done everything I can to finish the music project that I started earlier this year. And technically I have. As I said earlier, I only have to review everything that I've made or worked on to see if I like everything before I figure out where it's going. But for the most part, the project itself is finished, and I have learned a lot within the month that I've taken to finish it. Generally, I have learned a lot from this project, but this month was very funny. So while I won't be talking about the project in detail within this video, I will be talking about some of the aspects of this project that I did learn or that taught me something. Not just about music, but about like the way that my brain works around the concept of creating. One of the things that I remembered a few days ago was the fact that it was around 5th grade that I wrote my first song. And the only reason as to why I wrote it was because I was writing it in character for a story that I was kind of playing out. Basically, I had a very active imagination when I was younger, and instead of maladaptive daydreaming, I really just went far into playing dolls and making up stories with them. You know, as a child should. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but I was basically like that until I turned 16. Then I kind of just chose to stop playing with dolls altogether and started putting most of that very active imagination into creating stories. But since 5th grade, I've always thought that writing your own songs was so cool. And I originally thought it was fun because it was yet another creative outlet. But then I think I stressed myself out by recognizing I wasn't able to write as quickly as I wanted to, or write as many songs in the short amount of time as I wanted to, because songwriting was so difficult. Then I got into writing poetry, which kind of made me put more of my effort into writing poetry than writing songs. And then I remembered that I actually want to write songs. So I kind of forced myself to write 5 in 1 year. And I think that itself also stressed me out, put me into creative burnout when it comes to writing songs. So I had to learn how to handle that burnout. I also had to give myself grace when it came to writing songs, because at the end of the day, I am the one that is making all of the decisions for the song that is being written. And then I also thought maybe I should take time to learn how to play an instrument, but with the intention of using my knowledge of playing said instrument to write a song, and the fact that learning how to play an instrument, at least for me, would take years, and I did not have did not think I had that amount of time to be doing stuff like that, so I kept on trying to rush myself to learn these things and got frustrated in doing so. What I learned, at least a general idea of what I learned from this project, from finishing it mainly, is I relearned to love writing songs. I also have a better understanding of how the creative process works when it comes to writing songs, and the fact that it's different if you're the only one doing it, like the only one working on the songs, and how when it comes to creative process for me, I kind of have to do it in bursts. It's kind of that 80-20 rule that a lot of people tend to use for like uh how they handle their eating habits. 80% of it is healthy while the 20% of it doesn't have to be. However, for me, it's more of a like 40-60 split. 60% of the time I am just mucking around, but that allows me to rest creatively and put so much focus on the 40% that I'm actually creating something. Another thing I learned is I don't need to stress myself out with learning how to play an instrument and speed running learning how to play an instrument mainly, because I could easily just learn how to use things like GarageBand. And the best way to learn how to use applications like GarageBand is by doing. So songs get created, or at the very least, instrumental versions of songs get created while I'm still learning how to use the thing. And all is well with the world. I don't think I recognize the amount of work it actually took to create songs, let alone finish them. Like, at least for me, creating takes a lot of choice making, and since I was the only one making those choices or having to make those choices, it was a lot of mental energy. And I thought like creative energy and mental energy were two separate things entirely. Not exactly the case, but I also don't know how to properly explain it. And I've talked about this earlier, but having to do all of this by yourself when you don't know a lot of things is relatively difficult and mentally taxing. That means that there were moments in which I did not want to do this. However, I forced myself to stick to it because I wanted to see if I could. Like, you can at least finish the project to see if you really want to continue doing this. And honestly, I do. But something that I've learned in the month of November that doesn't actually have to deal with the project is something that I technically already knew, but because I didn't have to deal with the extreme effects up until that point, it did not stick in my head. I learned the exact symptoms that you can use to determine whether you are lactose intolerant or not. Before that, I have used lactose sensitive because it's not, I eat any amount of cheese and I get constipated. It's cheese and generally other dairy products are relatively difficult for my stomach to properly digest. Lactose in and of itself is something that is very difficult for my body to digest, to break down properly. And this might end up being a bit of TMI, but one of the major symptoms that kind of knocked me upside of my head once I read it was constipation that seemed to have lasted longer than 3 weeks. The amount of discomfort that I had to experience was not new to me. And in fact, it was the main reason as to why I started saying that I was lactose sensitive at best, intolerant at worst. Because of the fact I've experienced it before. But at the very least, I can say now, I know I am lactose intolerant. It's just not as I still have to be careful of the amount of dairy specifically lactose general that I ingest. But there was something else I ended up learning from all of that, and it's the amount of lactose I ingest can be like generally balanced by other foods that give roughage, fiber, and stuff like that that'll help keep you more regular. And that is the reason as to why it was such a long time in between the two situations that had me thinking, am I really lactose intolerant? Yes, I am. There are certain things that affect me that I am not aware of it affecting me, because it's not something that I'm constantly reminded of until it practically hits me in the face. And then I start getting angry because I'm like, wait, I thought I was good. I thought I was fine. And it's like, no, it's just that you didn't have to deal with this problem until recently. And I'm like, do I have to do anything about that? And it's just like, no, not really, no. So anyway, that situation was handled. I thought it was funny. And I am actually done with November's update. I finished the project. I was able to confirm that I'm lactose intolerant. Yeah, that's about it. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified of whenever I post. And start learning about how to take care of your physical health as well as your mental health. Because if I wasn't keeping track of a lot of things about my own physical health, I think I would have been worse for wear. And well, that is all for me. It is time for me to say, this is your local internet friend, aka Toki, saying Toki out.